digital learning looks like students who were at the Institute participating in some interactive online asynchronous modules with a variety of faculty to take up ideas that were presented at the Institute, but then also to go in a little bit into more depth about what those ideas look like and mean for their particular communities.
In the context of my teaching and my work, I see digital learning just as any other learning. So it's not any different. It's definitely part of an everyday life. It should be something that is based on everyone's interest and everyone's kind of wonderful ideas that they want to explore. But it's no different than learning with paints or than learning with balls or learning with whatever it is. It's just learning that should be exciting.
My definition of digital learning really starts and ends with pedagogical approaches and ways to think about the design process, because it's really not about the technology per se. They give us certain amazing things that we can do with our students.
I mean, I concentrate on the data piece of the digital learning. So digital learning for me is anything where the technology facilitates us capturing data that we couldn't capture or wouldn't see otherwise.
Digital learning is something of an indicator of a change in the learning landscape. Artists have always been also at the forefront of taking things on and pushing the limits and trying out new materials and using the digital too as a new realm of art making, and that then comes into us as a field and we have to address it.
Digital learning is really about using games and interactive media and game-like experiences basically to promote the Greek concept of eudaimonia. Eudaimonia basically means human flourishing, and you know, this includes experiences that help a person better understand themselves, their self-identity, to remove barriers to one's growth, to teach or train somebody on a particular topic, or to promote a better world in terms of sustainability or combating climate change and things like this.
I guess it means primarily in the last, for me, maybe in the last decade plus, would be teaching online. So it's evolved a little partially because of student demands, partially because maybe my own interest in technology. And so ultimately I started teaching online in about 2005 here, and gradually have expanded the courses that I've been teaching online.
So my kind of position in all this is that I'm the coordinator of the online program. So many of the courses that I teach utilize both traditional education-based platforms like CMSs, right? Right now we're using Canvas. But I also have a big role in helping students to learn how to program and develop and design learning experiences through digital media, such as interactive media, the web. And you know, the kinds of possibilities, you know, from that are going out into like many different spaces.
The affordances of digital learning, or the technology that allows us to do, provides us flexibility where we could have students manifest or give them the opportunity to manifest certain processes like cognitive, metacognitive, affective processes that go during their learning experience. And that way it also becomes a way for us to observe by giving them the opportunity to manifest what they can and cannot do. So that's one of the ways why I like to look at digital learning as a way of observing and studying people's learning.
Digital technologies allow for different kinds of, they allow for different kinds of learning possibilities. They sort of enable people to explore questions or ideas that they might be passionate about in a way that they might not be able to explore without digital technologies.
To think about digital learning as a term, learning for me is not digital, right? Learning cannot be digital. So to use the digital in front of learning as an attribute or an adjective, to me doesn't fully make sense. For me, the learning has certain relations to the digital. You can learn with or through or from the digital. And so the big question for me is, what are those relations?
In my mind, I think of digital learning as a way to, one, help students, one, it could be like an agent or a system that collaborates with the learner, is one. Another thing, it could be a system or an application or an artifact or an environment that actually helps the collaboration between two learners. And I guess the third one I would say is, I think these tools or digital learning environments can help augment human learning capacity or help them cognitively achieve more than doing it themselves.
Initially, it started off with digitization of content, and I first ran into that when I was teaching some distance learning courses, and students weren't on campus, so we had to provide content for them, and we did that digitally. But it's become much more than that. It's bringing content from lots of different places, capturing interactions, making those available to subsequent groups, dealing with people asynchronously to make education a little more convenient for them. So lots of different things.